I'm Emily.
And I'm Ethan.
We're traveling across America in search of its most captivating communities.
All the while, we're working from the road and taking the adventures as they come.
This is
Remote!
If you've been following our journey, you'll know that so far we've made it from Dallas, Texas to Ashland, Oregon. Next, we find ourselves heading south into Upstate, California. Here, the landscape is dominated by the majestic and mysterious Mount Shasta.
You know, they talk about them dwarf fellers up there underneath the Mount Shasta, but I was down in my meth barn over there one night. I came out and I saw them aliens come down and they started fighting themselves a Bigfoot. They sure did. Just goes to show.
This is an unexpectedly cool little town called Mount Shasta. We knew the mountain is cool, it's over there, but we did not know how cool the town would be.
What's your favorite thing about Mount Shasta so far?
We haven't seen anything yet.
That's my favorite thing too. How do you feel about the controversy surrounding Mount Shasta? Is it aliens, Bigfoot, or lumerians?
So the history of Mount Shasta is full of surprising characters. There are people who've been sucked into portals. There are ancient civilizations living inside of the volcano. There's Bigfoot, obviously, roaming around up there somewhere. And the ancient civilization, it's not like that was in ancient times. Like, they're still around. They're giants. They're like 8 feet tall and they have really long hair. And they wander around here sometimes, but only in your peripheral vision. You can't look right at them. So, like, as I'm talking to you, I might see one of them over here, but then if Ethan were to turn the camera, that would disappear because they have powers left over from when they were a very impressive civilization, and they were called the Lumerians. They lived at the same time as Atlantis, and they were like kind of frenemies with each other. Lemuria and Atlantis were. So, but anyway, Atlantis obviously is no more, and Lemuria also dealt with some, I forget what type of natural disaster, but anyway, they survived by burrowing into the volcano Mount Shasta, and they were there before the Native Americans, and Native Americans have legends saying that there were people living on the mountain, except in the Native American legends, they are not giants, they are dwarves. So, who knows? It's because of these legends and the commanding presence of the mountain that the town of Mount Shasta has attracted spiritual seekers of all types.
Burgers.
Ooh. Ooh.
Here looks like they just came off a trail. My kind of place.
It's the Mount Shasta Raven. We'd be returning in a couple days to further explore the mysteries of Mount Shasta, but for the time being, we were staying in the city of Redding. So, what did you think of Redding, Ethan?
Redding was... The area is really cool. The town, kind of boring. But the amount of stuff to do around Redding, like the location, is super cool.
Yeah, there's tons of nature and hiking and waterfalls and swimming and lots of beautiful things, but there isn't much of a city center. There isn't much of like a community feel really at all. It's sort of like people just live out in like along the highway, kind of. It's pretty much just like a highway through the woods.
In houses. They're not just
Well,
homeless. It's such a small city for the amount of people that are supposedly living there. It doesn't seem very well planned out. Like there's no community spot where people can gather, and so it feels just kind of dispersed, and like people don't have like a good, like culture there.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And it's not really walkable, like nobody lives within walking distance, and so I think that has a big impact on the culture too.
Ducks. They're here. Hey guys, what you doing under this bridge? Turns out ducks like bridges just as much as people do because they provide vital shade in the hot summer days of Redding, California. Also, as you can see, this bridge was built to mimic a goose in flight. So these geese come from hundreds of miles away to pay homage to their big metal mother goose by going upside down in the river and kicking their feet in the air, as is customary in goose culture.
We stayed in Redding for free by agreeing to farm sit for a very friendly couple. They had sheep, chickens, peacocks, a sheepdog, none of which are super high maintenance, so we actually did have time to do some hiking. That being said, we also did immensely enjoy spending time on the farm with the animals. We visited the famous Sundial Bridge, which is considered an architectural marvel. Then we hiked around the Turtle Bay Exploration Park's Arboretum, which features drought-resistant plants from all over the world. After that, we headed toward one of the more popular places in the region, Whiskeytown Lake Recreation Area. What you see in there?
Lots of water.
Well, we can definitely tell that there were fires here.
A damn dog, yeah!
It appeared that this was the main gathering spot for the locals. On a 100-degree day, the lake felt great, and we spent the afternoon relaxing here, just like everyone else.
Well, no one really knows the origin of the name Whiskeytown. Local folklore tells of an 1850s miner by the name of Billy Peterson who had a mishap. Hauling supplies to a mine, a pack on his mule's back broke loose, and Peterson's supply of whiskey tumbled down a hill into the creek.
It is thought that these crags are 170 million years old. That's ancient compared to Mount Shasta next door, which is only thought to be 600,000 years old.
Crags are much like rocks, only craggier.
What's that on your shoulder?
This is boulder spray. Up here in the mountainous areas of Northern California, these boulders can become feisty and unpredictable at a moment's notice. The only thing standing between life and death in such situations is a nice frothy can of boulder spray.
The hike at Castle Crags was really amazing, and I would highly recommend it to anyone visiting the area. This one's hollow. Might be where the ancient lumerians are.
This is the entrance to their pub.
From Castle Crags, we had a beautiful overlook of Mount Shasta, which made us only want to get closer to the action, so we headed up that way, first stopping at the small and quaint little town of Dunsmuir. We stopped at a store called the Sacred Well, where the owner spent some time talking to us about the healing powers of crystals and herbs, and he told us that he himself had seen lumerians. He also recommended we visit a waterfall right on the outskirts of town. As we approached Mount Shasta, Ethan began acting strange.
The woods.
Oh my god, I think the lumerians got him. Ethan, are you okay?
I went to visit the aliens. It's got me!
Ethan was fine. Next, we headed westward and stopped at Trinity Lake and the town of Weaverville. Startling find today by archaeologists out at Trinity Lake near Minersville. Ruins of an ancient civilization discovered unwittingly. How long have they been here? Local expert Stan Ronfield says that these ruins could belong to the Yoruba tribe, who was known to inhabit this region around 1241 AD. Stan, over to you.
Well, I was just out on my dinghy and I was just floating around the lake hunting for turtles like I normally do, and then I ran into something and I was like, "Bah, Jeebus! Was that an iceberg?" And I looked down, it was this big old hunk of thing here, and I'd never seen that before in my life, but it looks like something you'd try and catch you a Sam Squanch in. We had Sam Squanches last year, and there was this fella came down from the city and carbon dated him or something, found it at a UFO crash site and said that no, that was just some donkey.
You heard it here first, folks. Ancient donkeys, remnants of the Yoruba tribe, and the government is hiding it from you.
I think I can see the mothership from here.
We camped at some place with a bunch of kids and a bounce house.
Welcome to Weaverville, California. This town has a very long and interesting history. It was founded in 1850. In 1851, the town caught fire and had to be rebuilt. In 1852, the town again caught fire and had to be rebuilt. In 1853, there was a great conflagration, and again the town had to be rebuilt. You see where I'm going with this. There's an ongoing trend of wildfire in this area. Finally, in 1906, the town decided to open a fire department. We're learning, slowly but surely.
The whole car smells like sage because it got so hot that my sage plant oils and it started to evaporate, and now the car smells delicious.
It does smell good. Earthy.
Earthy.